breath in, deep breath out. So you make a U-shaped tongue like so, and you suck in air through the U-shaped tongue and out the nose. In the U-shaped tongue. Take a deep breath in and relax. Rigel, do you listen to
Yeah.
any of the new? You listen to any of the new school rap, or are you strictly old school?
No, I'm all school.
All
I have to
school. Okay.
I have to admit that I probably don't listen to as much new school as I would like to, basically because of the fact that I've been overseas in Europe for the past 25 years almost. So I'm not really hip to, or in tune with, what I'm saying, what's trending, what's not trending. But yeah, but if it's music, I try listening to it. Our father was a musician, so I try my best to stay involved in music as much as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but our father was a musician, but he had that sentiment that they didn't make music like they used to. And a lot of people of our generation, people in their late 30s, 40s, they're saying like, "Oh, the music is not as good as it used to be," especially when it comes to hip hop. Would you agree with that statement, or you think that's a
Absolutely
little bit
not. Absolutely not. Because
okay?
I think our father was, say he was really, how can I say? I don't want to say narrow minded, but the thing is, psychologically speaking, when we talk about the comportment and things like that of how we react, these are based off our experiences, and for the majority of his life, he was part of the community which created music, so anything beyond that was like, because what his music, his creativity when it was to music was concerned, it was based off of something that preceded him. He was progressing it, and he brought it. He realized it, like a lot of people during this period. For some of our viewers, they may not know, but our father was, he was up there. He was born in 1926, before or after the Second World War, during the Great Depression. Before the Second World War, and a lot of people don't realize, saying how old school our father was. And that in the late 40s, he was already, a full adult, and touring America, the States, as a jazz musician. And I think that we get caught up with our ways is the ways that are the ways that we've grown up to, the ways that we become accustomed to, and we sometimes feel like since we survived those ways, those must be the only ways. But I don't think they're the only ways. I think that like you said before, to be honest, you know, we rocked it to it. You know what I'm saying? But Baby Got Back had zero substance. You know what I'm saying? So what's the difference between Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot, which we rocked, you know what I'm saying, to saying some teenage or young adults rapper talking about lean, Molly, saying and doing drugs, because it's always been a life of debauchery that rap and hip hop has portrayed, saying conveyed, saying globally, lyrically, vocally, So I mean, I think that everything goes through its cycles. Everything evolves. We don't say humans of today are not like the humans in the past. Humans in the past, we needed our eyebrows, like because y'all was fucking hunting saber-toothed tigers and shit. You know what I'm saying? It was hot. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want the sweat to get in your eyes that you miss your, saying you miss your catch, and somebody, that saber-tooth eat you. You know what I'm saying? So things evolve, and I think that the problem is often we find ourselves unable to accept that evolution. I don't know
Yeah,
if you feel the same way.
I feel exactly like you feel. We talked about memory and perception before,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do you think that sentiment, sentimentality? I think that's the way you pronounce. That's the
Yeah,
right way you
yeah,
pronounce the word. But
yeah,
this sentiment makes people think things were much better in the past than they are
yeah.
than they are now. Do you
I mean,
believe in
but
that?
I believe that people believe that if
Yeah.
that's the truth. I don't think so because I mean it's similar to living in Italy. Saying living in the Mediterranean. Um, I think that what most people think when it comes to that sentimentality, as you said, um, is that they feel that what they grew up to was the best. I mean, we can even say, saying our mom's cooking was the best. How many people say their mom's cooking was the best? So you mean to tell me, motherfucker, that I don't like the 2 billion mothers in the world? Everybody had the best cooking. I don't know about that, bro. Just because saying your country has the best cooking, and obviously this depends on a person's taste or whatnot. But I don't think that one person's belief or style or perception of something means that it's the best only because it's the best for them. I think that hip hop today is actually really, really, really nice. And like I said, for me, I'm actually regretful that I'm not able to keep in tune with a lot of the rappers out there because there are some trash rappers out there. But there were some trash rappers out when we were coming around. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Sir Mix-a-Lot was just, saying bumping in the club. The beat was fire, And today, all rappers' beats are fire, So why you want to downplay that? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, our this cat used auto tune, but auto tune was fire when those couple times Kanye used it, or when those couple times Lil Wayne used it. You know what I'm saying? Just because everybody using it now, that doesn't mean we want to think about 1980s, 1970s, 1980s R&B where where that funk rock R&B, we got to George Clinton in the P-Funk era, you know what I'm saying? They're like, what is this synthesized beat? But that shit was fire though, especially for those who grew up in the 70s and 80s, those who grew up before that might have said, what is this? This is not music anymore. It's all electronic now, So, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, Rich, but I think that, we don't give new forms, new evolutions of society or of our change. I don't think we give it really a second chance. If you notice, it's almost always people who are in their late 30s, like you say, 30s, 40s, and 50s, who's always downplaying the past. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, I think that's I think it goes deeper than that. I think even deeper than what you said. Like that we do have a lot of sentimentality about things about our upbringing, our past. As Chris Rock said, the first time we got pussy was the most memorable music ever. That's the best music
exactly,
ever.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly,
but
exactly, exactly.
I think it's even deeper than that because I think it's a kind of like almost you're kind of like resentful toward the youth even a little bit, even not even in the conscious mind, but in the subconscious mind. So you'd be like, "Oh, that's trash. That's not good. That's nothing
Why?
like the music."
You think it's because we're envious or we're envious of them and we want to be that age again? Is that what you
Yeah,
why you think so?
I think that's one of the things. I think it's a little bit of envy that that we have, like to be young and free. We're not young and free anymore. I'm free. Some people at our age are still free, but most people they feel like I'm just trapped in this life, middle age crisis and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they hear the music now and it's young and free, and they say, "Oh, that's not nothing like the young and free music of like Tupac or Biggie Smalls or Snoop Dogg back in the day."
Or before us, Willie Nelson, saying in all of the
Oh,
1960s and
exactly.
1970s,
Yes.
artists,
Uh-huh.
Dougie Partners and Willie Nelsons and things like that too. So I mean,
For
yeah,
sure.
like you said, I
So
think
I,
that
so I think there's a little bit of resentment that goes into it, and it maybe even not even a lot of people are aware of that resentment, but it may be just even an unconscious resentment. But people
okay.
resent things that like even like people that don't have money, they kind of resent the wealthy people, like
Yeah,
like fuck Elon Musk, he ain't no good, but he whatever. But they don't know that Elon Musk never sleeps; he works all the time. And are you going to do that? No.
exactly,
So
exactly,
shut
exactly,
up,
exactly,
dude.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
And
Oh,
he
definitely, definitely, yeah.
yeah, so it's like people tend to have that player hater in them, and I think
Okay.
I think that's another that's another player hater aspect that goes on in our society with the music, especially between the young and the old music.
So would you say that would you say that this iteration is something that's atavistic, something that's always been part of our society since the dawn of man?
I think I think it's twofold. I think beyond hateration is something different. So anything that's different, we automatically, like you said before, like our memory, our perception, we just kind of identify with things that we're used to. But
Mhm.
and when anything is too far outside of that box, it's like, what is that? That's too avant
Yeah,
garde for us. That's
definitely,
too
definitely,
that's trash. Even like when jazz music was first originated, people that played classical music, they thought that was
What is this?
trash.
What is this? That's bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit.
But
Yeah.
this is like
Yeah, no, no,
Sebastian
definitely.
Bach was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I don't think he
exactly,
was still, I
exactly.
don't think he was alive in the early 1900s, but I
I
think he
think it
died in
was.
18.
Yeah.
I think he was a very old person in 1913. I think when did jazz come around? Like 19,
Okay. Okay.
19
Okay. All right.
early
It might have had
1920s.
Amadeus Mozart might have been around at that time. I'm not sure. I'll have to
Mozart, I
check
think,
on
was
it.
still around.
Yeah.
Yes, like I
He was
think Mozart
around.
died in 1930 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Exactly. At
so I'm sure he was probably saying, "What is this?" Because he was
yeah,
still
exactly. Like, what they
he was still
do? Yeah.
producing
What they
music
do?
till he died. So I'm sure he
Yeah.
was. I mean, jazz was big too, especially in
Yeah.
Europe. Especially
Yeah.
like with Charlie Parker and those guys.
Yeah.
They were really big. They were really popular in Europe. So
What do you
I'm
think?
sure he thought. What do you say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You sure that you thought that he thought what now
Now I was
when
gonna
the
say
jazz?
maybe he did or did not. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he looked
Okay.
down on the music. Some people like Miles Davis. He was the
I was
opposite.
going to say that exactly.
Miles
Miles,
Davis,
he embraced
he,
it. He
he
embraced
embraced
it.
the new forms of music.
Yeah.
Like he collabed with so many people toward the end
Exactly.
of his end of his career.
Exactly. Yeah. No. No. In fact, that was the point I was going to get to. I was going to say that
Yeah,
Miles was one of those cats. He actually, if he had been around another 10 years or so, he would have been collabing on rap pieces, on hip hop pieces, you know what I'm saying? Because he
for
started
sure.
meddling the R&B with the synths from the P-Funk era and things like that.
Yeah,
He said, what, it's music, you know what I'm saying? It might not be so, listenable, acoustical, to a person, acoustic to a person, at that moment. But if you give it time, you let it settle, it kind of, it kind of sets in, and I think that unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but people today, we're talking about people of our today or today because hip hop reached officially the 50-year mark last year, the half a century mark. So we're in that, from the birth of hip hop, to where it is today, and so yeah, when we think about people like Miles, he took it to the next level. You're like, whatever is music. Appreciate, and the thing is with us, because we grew up with the nascent ideal of hip hop, and we're seeing it now where it's going, and I'm not going to say that it's going well in a lot of different places, but I don't think objectively speaking, I don't think it went well in the past too, because one of the things, and I think I talked to you about this off the mic, and this was some time ago. I think that's a lot of violence that goes on in America today, especially in the African American community, is only due to gangster rap. Even though we grew up on gangster rap, and I love gangster rap, but I think that things got more, how can I say, more violent, more cutthroat when, niggas with an attitude came out, NWA, when these, the 1980s, 1990 blaxploitation films like Colors or Juice came out. It made people want to, it made black people want to be more gangsterish, And then today, it's everyone wants to be gangsters because they see, because that hip hop culture, that African American culture, it resonates with people because it's struggle, and I think that's the thing that we forget when we looking at the hip hop of today compared to hip hop of the past, because today, what is the struggle? The struggle is fentanyl, drug abuse, social injustice, it's a bit different than what we had going on in the past, but there were still struggles, and who are we, or who is anyone, who grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to say that, their struggle is different, and they shouldn't express it in this way, it is important. What was old dude name who did the Lil Yachty? He used to be all about drug use, drug abuse. And in the past year and a half, even when he got on that track with J. Cole, he's like, yo, bro, I realized, not that I was trying to push out a negative message, but I was pushing out a negative message because that was what I was going through, And I don't want to quote Jay-Z too much, but really that what he did was a song with Jay Khaled, God did a couple last year. That was fire, but You never heard that? Oh, that's the
Yeah,
fire.
I
Yeah.
never heard
He talked about how, anything could happen, you know what I'm saying? His boy who went to jail, what was it? Young Un, I forgot who it was, did 10 years of prison and he didn't snitch on Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? When he got out, Jay-Z's like, I'm paying you back with interest, son. You know what I'm saying? But what if he had snitched? Would Jay-Z be what he is today? Would hip hop be what it is today? You know what I'm saying? So we have to think about what was the struggle that people went through. You know what I'm saying? Even when thinking about the Oscar Wildes, the Bram Stokers in the Victorian period, you know what I'm saying? Even the Shakespeare's who kind of like threw these little light jabs at the monarchy. You know what I'm saying? That was their way of, taking society, hold a mirror to itself and motherfucker, this is you. You know what I'm saying? That was their struggle. And I think that a lot of the young rappers today are expressing their struggle in a way, unfortunately, that we are unable to relate to in some cases. You
But
know?
I understand what you're saying. Of course, is art is portraying life to some degree. But are you saying also that by art portraying life, it also perpetuates some of the violence that's going on?
Sometimes they do. Yes, because especially
So it become it feeds off of it.
well, it becomes that Ouroboros. You gets that it becomes that snake that's eating its own tail. You talk about that struggle. You talk about what you did to come up, and this comeuppance kind of saying it resonates to other people who say, you know what, my life is effed up like yours was, and if I do some of the same things you did, saying if I follow that Jay-Z's blueprint, I might be able to come up too, saying? And that was one of the things, saying, I think that, our literary arts professors will look at in the future, not necessarily Jay-Z, but that ideal of the 1990s, or beginning 2000s rap and say, he didn't really say, okay, follow me and do this, this, and this, and this, but realize this is the show you're coming from. You want to try to hustle, find out what your path is, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, the thing is that, you have to be like electricity or water. You have to find that path of least resistance to be more abundant, more prolific, and more proficient. A lot of times people say, okay, I want to go against the resistance. No, hustle doesn't mean going against the resistance. I think the biggest problem that a lot of people think is they think that a lot of times they have to sacrifice. I don't think you have to sacrifice. I think you have to just take something and say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate myself. Dedication is different than sacrifice.
Commitment.
If you look at something as, I'm going to sacrifice this and this and this for that. No, but if you say I'm going to work for this and this and this and this, they're two different things. They seem, saying on the surface very similar, but they're very, very different. In fact, that's what I want to say. I'm not trying to, testicle ride, ball sack ride, Jay-Z, but that's one of the things I think he's always trying to say. He says that, you know what, I'm not telling you guys to do what I did, but I'm telling you that what I did was not easy. Nobody really can say what your struggles are, say except for you. You suffer what you suffer, but try to make the best of it. Realize what goals are, set checkpoints, milestones for those goals, and do whatever you can. And don't think of it as a sacrifice. Never think of it as a sacrifice, but think of it as what's necessary to do and dedicate yourself to it, And I think that a lot of rappers, some of the messages I hear today, when we think about the what's his name? Benny. I can't remember his name at the moment.
JID?
No, I was thinking about the one from Griselda.
I'm not familiar.
What's his name? Oh, there was Eminem's group. It was, you know what I'm saying? However, anyways, the cats out of Philly, yeah, fucking fire, dude. But even when you think about JID, you know what I'm saying? We think about the baby, you know what I'm saying? These are rappers that I say that, wow, they're fantastic. They're not, it's not that they have, you say that, okay, they got cold beats. Back in the past, they use 4-track, you know what I'm saying, systems, you know what I'm saying? Maximum 8 tracks. And now they got like 34, 32 tracks. And you're not supposed to take advantage of that, you know what I'm saying? And make the good music. So you're thinking that, okay, just because they got cold beats, they can't be cold on the mic also. A lot of them are. A lot of them very cold on the mic, These, like I said, a lot of people that I'm listening to. Not to this, you know what I'm saying? Nor am I the type of person to say that, old school rap is terrible, because people like Nas are still spitting fire, you know what I'm saying? Our boy Killer Mike just won the Grammy, which was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. A 50-year-old, you know what I'm saying, rap legend just won the Grammy, best album.
Did you hear his album? Do you like his album?
Or some of it. Like I said, I downloaded it and I've been listening to it for the past week now. And I'd say some tracks are really, really, really fire on there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
definitely. I was just checking that out. But again, like I said, the thing is, I think that sometimes if you talk about your show and other people want to be you, like you said before, just like we are kind of older guys are usually kind of reluctant or kind of reticent to the new school. I think also younger guys are kind of admirable, or saying they look up to those guys that are a bit ahead of them. Saying, and so they try to do the things that they want to do. Saying, and, like I said, and that's when I think that cycle is. So you have the past, the older guys like us who's talking about, oh, they suck. You have the newer guys like, oh, screw you, dude. Who's your best rapper? Your best rapper, Eminem? Blah, blah, blah. No, he's irrelevant. No, he's not irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, saying everybody's right. In war, saying in battle, everybody is right. Saying everybody believes that they're right, and everyone is right if we want to go by beliefs. And I think that a lot of times we get caught up in, okay, what attracts me, what appeals to me, that appeal, that attraction, saying it leaves us, closed minded. And in the case of the younger guys who are trying to look at the newer guys, they are trying to follow in their footsteps. Like, I think in my opinion, apart from Jay-Z, and my list is a bit different depending on what we want to talk about. So if we're talking about a most influential rapper, I want to say Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Drake. Those are the guys. What I'm saying. And when we think about Jay-Z, he created this new mentality, like, yo, bro, you can do whatever. What I'm saying. You can start from the hood, from the from the gutter, and do it. What I'm saying. And Lil Wayne, all of the young people out, Yachty's, the 6ix9ines, the XXXTentacions, all of these guys are Lil Wayne children. You understand? But Lil Wayne, what was Lil Wayne? What was he on when he was coming out? What I'm saying? Even though he was fired, a lot of his messages were smoke weed, do lean, get high, what I'm saying? Fuck the system. And that's what all they're doing now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you take even the Migos, what I'm saying? Rest in peace to their third of the group, what I'm saying? But everyone's kind of, saying, I think that the new school rap was birthed by Lil Wayne, I think, to be honest with you, what I'm saying? So yeah. And I think that, think about what they're saying, think about their message. Their message is basically what Lil Wayne's message was, what I'm saying? But it was Lil Wayne's message wasn't so impactful in that time because we had people like KRS-One or Wu-Tang or the red, the black, and the green. Sissy, who was it?
X-Clan,
X-Clan, right? NWA, and they were all pushing very strong messages at that moment, which were very different. So at that moment, we said, okay, this little cat Wayne can flow, what I'm saying, but his message wasn't as strong as the other ones. And then, as time evolved, what I'm saying, he showed more longevity, and he started picking up the younger followings. What I'm saying?
Okay, well, let's talk about. We talked about the subjective differences, but what about the objective differences? Like, it seemed like back then, and I don't know if this is completely objective, I don't have the stats on it, but from being a big rap aficionado, I'm both old school and new school, but objectively speaking, it seems like there were more conscious rappers back in the old school that were mainstream than it is now that are mainstream. I mean, of course, there's a lot of conscious rappers underground that you don't really hear about. But like,
if you think about, I mean, even today, I mean, say if we go a little bit back, saying the middle children, saying Common, saying Lupe, these aren't cats that's very conscious. We talk about the current kings, the current so-called kings, Kendrick, J. Cole,
but they're kind of like more the middle child. They're not quite the young bucks anymore. They're pushing 40 themselves. So
yeah, but you even have a lot of these young ones coming out now. I can't really, like I said, I can't really remember any names at the moment, but yeah, you have a lot of people out now that, especially, and the thing is, I think because this is something you talked about in another podcast about the fact that the saturation of so much media, we can find them everywhere. However, before we could only find them on the radio, or if someone told you, and so you bought their album. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Mainstream. That's why I qualified and said mainstream.
Exactly. But what is mainstream? Like, today, in the past, mainstream was only radio. Today, mainstream is SoundCloud, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
The people that are trending the most on all those platforms tend to be not so conscious as they were back in the days, based on my fairly, I believe, objective observation.
I don't know. I mean, if we go back, you know, saying like beginning 2000s, in the 1990s, you know, saying we go to one of the hottest songs that I think was in my, you know, saying post diplomatic, my post diploma period, you know, saying Lean Back was one of those hot fire songs. You know, saying what was
Yeah.
everybody talking about? You know what I'm saying? And you had some of the so-called, you know, saying even the remix had Eminem, Little Joe, Big Pun, you know, saying so many people in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, when we think about the Humpty Dance, what was the Humpty Dance really saying though? You know what I'm saying? Use
It
your
makes it
chance,
maybe my observation is not that
you know what I'm saying?
objective.
And we think about can't touch this. Nah, nah. What was he
Yeah.
talking about? Really? You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
wasn't very conscious. We had the like we said, we had the KRS ones, the
Mhm.
Wu-Tang or the X Clans. Even like for example, when we think about Public Enemy, they had maybe on an album with like 10 songs, 10 tracks, they might have had 2 or 3 that were really like conscious, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is society. We should really look at this. And they had like 3 or 4 songs that were like kind of like, I want to say garbage. They were bangers. They were bangers,
Mhm.
but the message wasn't very clear. And they had like 2 or 3 songs because in the past, you didn't write it out. You didn't have an album that came out apart from like, you know, the Illmatic, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have an album where all songs were replayable, you know what I'm saying? Where you would find them today on Spotify if you had true listeners like Illmatic, where the first song and the last song would be like only a difference of like 5,000 streams. You know what I'm saying? In fact, a lot of times today, because we said we take these small snippets, and this is something that I was talking with a group of my students, my university students, a couple of weeks ago, is that we live today in a snippet culture. You know what I'm saying? So many people, in fact, when I you know, say as an example, I use the 2014 Forest Hills Drive song. Was it No Role Models with J. Cole? You know what I'm saying? And they all knew, you know, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me 2 times, the blame on you. Fool me 3 times, fuck the peace sign, load the chopper. You know what I'm saying? Let it rain on you. They all knew that part, but they didn't know the whole song. That doesn't mean that that's not the best part. It can be, but if you only see that one snippet, how can you judge what is the best part? And that's what, you know, gets 7 billion views, and the second best song gets like 5,000 views. You know what I'm saying? Or streams. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the idea that we were so limited to the access of media we had in the past, it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, in fact, I think that's I actually approve the system today because of the fact that we can really, okay, apart from the algorithms, but we still have a type of choice of what we can listen to. In the
But
past, what was on the radio was
but
what
see,
was on the radio.
that goes into
MTV
what I
was on MTV,
that
you
goes
know?
into what I was saying earlier. Is like now, like you said, since people are just we're in a snippet culture, people are just trying to create that one hit. Back in the
Yeah,
days, people were trying to create this very cohesive album that told
yeah,
one beautiful story, but
yeah.
that's not aligned with people's commercial agendas or artist commercial agendas like it used to be. So people used to buy the whole album, the whole CD, because they want to hear that one. They want to hear from song track 1 to track 12. Now
Yeah,
people
but
don't care about that. All
the
they want to
12
hear is
was
like
never
a hot
really.
bar, and that's it.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, but I don't think that in the past, like I said, apart from a select few albums, I don't think that, you know, most albums in the past had track 1 to track 12, which was bangable. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times
Okay.
you were buying the album for 2 or 3 songs. You know what I'm saying? The 1 or 2 that made the playlist on the radio, and that other song that you kind of heard somebody playing. You know what I'm saying? Who had
Okay.
special, you know what I'm saying, privileges to listen to it. And I think that now, let's look at it. Okay. The way I want to look at it is like this. Okay. I think that unfortunately, marketing makes it so grandiose and takes away the true choice. Okay. So for example, you know, I'm a smoker, not always been proud of it, but if I smoke cigarettes, this means I'm buying a pack of 20. The length and the quantity of tobacco in that cigarette, someone decided for me. You know what I'm saying? Take another person who smokes rolling tobacco. You know what I'm saying? They can roll a cigarette as thickly, as tightly, as small as they want to. You know what I'm saying? Because they're kind of controlling the quantity that they receive. You know, in that case, you know what I'm saying, you still, it's like a false choice, but at least you have more options. You know what I'm saying? You're still a nicotine addict, but at least you have more of a choice of what you're consuming. You know, and same thing with, you know, with media. We're all media addicts, 99% of the world today. But when you have an option or a pseudo option of what to choose, that makes it a bit better, you know. And like I said, unfortunately, I think that the only problem with today's media in music in particular is that a lot of music, unfortunately, people don't spend 2, 3, 4 years of their souls making music because they have to pump out 2, 3 albums a year. You know what I'm saying? That has to be hot fire, or at least be TikTokable, or you know what I'm saying, or replayable, and obviously, but also at the same time, that stress, you know what I'm saying, when we talk about, we live in a capitalistic world. If we're putting more stress on artists to produce more, that means that they're, those gems are going to come out more frequently. You know what I'm saying? We might not get as many, Mona Lisas. We might get 7 or 8, which is just below the par of Mona Lisa. And I don't know. I think that might be a little bit better, So if you have
pressure can create diamonds, no question about it.
Exactly. No, but what I want to ask you, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, all right. So what do you think? Do you think that's okay in that case then? Because I don't know if this is something that you had in mind, or say I'm going too much off track onto a tangent. Because you sent me the video 1 hour after it had aired, and actually a couple of my other friends had sent me the same video too. But too many SKUs, baby. Look at those SKUs. So many products, right? When my man's Mos Def Yasin Bey was talking about Drake. And a lot of things I think that a lot of people misconstrue is he wasn't really talking about Drake in particular, but he was talking about mainstream popular music, and hip hop has become popular. And he was saying that what happens when the system starts to crumble, My question for you is, do you think that hip hop has arrived to a point where it's about to crumble and where it loses its identity? Even if so many people identify to hip hop, or is hip hop itself going to lose its identity?
You're saying is hip hop just becoming pop, pretty much?
I mean, again, I don't like the word pop, because you want your music to be pop. There are very few art or musicians I think that don't want their music to be popular. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we think pop music, it comes, it's an abbreviation of popular music, but mainstream popular, where everyone is following it and biting the same styles and putting out music that sounds acoustically the same. I think that's what we mean. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people.
Well, unfortunately, some of the music is no different than Taylor Swift music. So
exactly. No, definitely.
But like you said, there's always been kind of those popular songs in hip hop since the beginning. So but I don't know. I think at its essence, hip hop still has a strong identity. But that maybe Mos Def is right. But maybe he's coming off as the old.
I think he's coming off as an angry uncle. Yeah, he's coming off as an angry uncle.
It's kind of like you watch like I watch a lot of NBA. I don't even watch too much NBA or football, NFL. You see all these old ex-players who are color and analysts now, and they're just always saying, "Oh, it wasn't back like it was in the olden days." Like
you couldn't play like it is now. You know what I'm
saying? They can't even touch a player anymore without getting fined.
In fact, that's the point I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So many players, and we think about the NBA right now, the NBA has so much talent. The talent pool is ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? Skill set is ridiculous.
And I'm sorry, I really think that a lot of the strong players in the past, if we remove the Allen Iversons, the Michael Jordans, the Kobes, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of players that were balling in the past, today they would be bench warmers and get like 10 minutes a game.
Unless they train like the new guys. I mean, that's the benefit. The new guys got elite training, and they work. Their skill set is amazing because of their training, and then so that makes the difference. Back then, they were putting people in VR chambers to perfect their jump.
That's what I'm saying. They
perfect their jump like that. Those people work on their mechanics. So they not back in the day, people just like, I'm just gonna shoot a little bit and that's it.
AI coming out like practice. What's practice?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But definitely that's what I'm saying now. Like the guys today, they're saying, you know what? I'm putting in. I'm dropping 7 tracks a day, son.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are straight garbage. You know what I'm saying? But they're kind of like waiting. You know what I'm saying? Because how could guys? You know what I'm saying? We take that parallelism from basketball in the past and basketball today. How would they know, you know what I'm saying, that their basketball or their skills are becoming applicable to today's basketball if they're not putting it to work? You know what I'm saying? Like cats today are in the studio dropping 7 or 8 tracks, and they might drop all 7 or 8 on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and get negative results out of 6. You know what I'm saying? But they drop 2 solid tracks in one day. Whereas,
Yeah.
saying cats in the past, you might get them to drop 2 hot tracks in 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got cats like one of my favorite rappers, Jay Electronica, was one of my favorite potentially rappers. He's dropped like 5 songs in 15 years, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And a couple of them were just remakes of what he did before, you know what I'm saying, before he had signed with
Yeah.
Jay-Z,
So
you know what I'm saying? Right. So Pharoah Monch was another one of my favorite lyricists, you know what I'm saying? Didn't drop as much as he should have, you know what I'm saying? Because you learn also from your F ups, from those, you know what I'm saying, from you know what I'm saying, from not being able to satisfy the masses or your target audiences, you know.
yeah, a
So
lot of those people can have perfectionism complexes, and then
exactly,
part of growing is making mistakes and dropping
exactly,
shitty albums and shitty songs,
exactly,
and learning
exactly,
from that. But
exactly,
through repetition, you get better no matter what.
exactly. And that's why I think that Nas is probably not as good as he was with Illmatic, but he's one of the best Nas's now. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
I think he dropped some that was not very, very solid, and he just becoming getting better and better. You know what I'm saying? At 50 plus years old, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think that's ideal though. I think that Richard, we sometimes confuse the fact that as I said from the beginning of the podcast, that things must evolve. Things must get better. It must evolve. If it's better or worse, like you said before, that's subjective. From an objective point of view, evolution cannot. I think the evolution cannot be judged as objectively better or worse. It becomes more objectively adaptable. So today's music has become more adaptable to today's society, and vice versa. Today's society has made music today, not only hip hop, but especially hip hop, more adaptable. Because why? Most of the so-called hard gangsters, saying the Jay-Z, tell me, you want to tell me that Jay-Z or Northwest or saying Kanye's kids or Lupe's kids or Nas's kids, you think that they lived through the struggle they went to? Them niggas don't know shit about the struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Them
for
niggas
sure.
got mansions. You know what I'm saying? Will Smith's son Jaden got like a mansion and a private jet himself. How can he know struggle? How can he, be, coherent if he's never lived that lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, for
this
sure.
is the
He has to rap
coherency of
about
it.
something else,
Exactly.
about being
Yeah,
gay or something like that, or being
exactly.
non-binary. Just joking.
Exactly. So yeah, and that's what they do now. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to take anything from that because that's what they're living through now.
That's what they know. Of course,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
We knew the struggle. We knew the struggle, and that's why we were able to relate. Just like these guys are selling and they're streaming millions and millions because a lot of kids are living that non-binary. I have saying a different saying gender pronoun,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm living right now. So I listen to music that understands it and has adapted to that. You know what I'm saying? I
For
can
sure.
listen to music that saying that like Eminem that call people faggots and it's very homophobic. You know what I'm saying? I might say, okay, he could put words together, make words rhyme, but he's not saying anything that resonates with me. You know what I'm saying? So what
Exactly.
resonates was resonating with society. Just like its culture has evolved. So has music got to.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question, and let's make it the last question. Who's
Okay.
your favorite, or who's your most underrated rapper of all time? And I'm gonna say mine's first. Mine is Ice Cube. I'm listening to America Most Wanted. Ice Cube's so underrated, but
Was he
that's
really underrated? I don't know,
I
bro.
don't I don't think he got the props. Like he was like killing it. Ice Cube was killing it, bro.
He was
Ice
one of
Cube
the
was like
best at the time. It's like calling Biggie Smalls underrated. You know what I'm saying? In his
nah,
time,
but
saying?
once he was killing it with Biggie, he was just as good as Biggie and Jay Z and
I
Nas and those guys.
Cube is in the top 20 for my all-time favorites. You know what I'm saying? As
See,
far
you
as
said top 20. He's
different
like
things.
top 5, dude.
No, but I'm
Lyrically,
saying
dude.
in general. As far as slept on rappers, I got a few of them.
One. Let's pick
Always there.
one. Let's pick one. Pick
No, I
one.
can't pick one, dude. You got to give me six. Give me six. Give me six. Give me six, dude. Come on. All right.
Give me a six.
So
Give me 6.
Lupe was my most slept on rapper until 5 or 6 years ago, and most people, what I'm saying, they were like, oh, Lupe, who's Lupe? But I can't really say he slept on now because most people who've heard Lupe know that, what I'm saying, he's fired, right? Pharoah Monch is one of mine. Pharoah Monch was fire, bro. Pharoah Monch is fire. I used to say Black Thought, and like you can ask Queen and all my best friends, I used to speak Black Thought before he was on Fallon. I'm like, Black Thought is one of my favorite rappers ever. You know what I'm saying? He was on there. Yasin, but Yasin, like I said before, now most of the hip hop heads know who Yasin, know who Mos Def is. And I was blasting Mos Def back when he was Black Star, Black when he did the hip hopper with Beyonce. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Have you ever seen that, Carmen?
I never seen it, but I saw part of it.
That was my joint because that was one of the first musicals in rap, and I'm like, that is so innovative. You know what I'm saying? It was like crazy, and it never got the props that it should have. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And number 5. All right, so I said Pharaoh. I said Mos. All right, again, like I said, until a few years ago, J. Cole, because J. Cole is one of those cats. And still, I think that J. Cole, not even though he is rated highly, people still don't really understand what he be saying until they really know what he be saying. You know what I'm saying? His message is so deep. His message is so deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And finally, it's going to sound controversial, but I think that your boy, Mr. Yeezy, is one of the most underrated. Not that he's not famous, but I think for what he says sometimes, even though I agree with like 3% of what he says, you know what I'm saying? But what he says
that's controversial.
Controversial, baby. It's controversial.
Provocative.
Exactly. It's provocative, right? And you know what I'm saying? But I think that what his message that he says, you know what I'm saying, is usually deeper, like what Yasin said when he's like, but what happens when it all starts to crumble? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what Kanye does, you know what I'm saying? He comes out that way, you know, like a very controversial person, but sometimes because of his controversy, we never really listen to what he's trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's trying to make you. He's trying to push you to question things.
Exactly, but we don't question things. We just say he's controversial. Fuck him. What is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know, again, like I said, these cats are probably my most underrated. I love them all. Lupe is my favorite. You know that. J. Cole is probably my 2 or 3, depending on how the mood I'm in. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, those are the 2. It didn't. Black Thought, fire, for real. But before Jimmy Fallon, for real, like when he was, you know what I'm saying, with the Roots, you know, and we all knew the Roots was fire, but not really when you listen, because he has so much flow, bro, so much flow, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you? So you said that Ice Cube is, but is that only because at the moment you're listening to that?
I just think Ice Cube. I guess remember, you know, we lived in Michigan, so Michigan's definitely more East Coast. You know, we listen to more East Coast music than West Coast music. So I guess on the West Coast, people love Cube forever. But like, you know, back in the days, it was all about Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. But Cube is lyrically doing the stuff he was talking about. He had like a good balance of being both controversial and being like hood and commercially viable, but still just dropping really deep, insightful thoughts. I mean, comments about making social commentary.
He was a conscious. Yes,
he was a very conscious rapper. He's making deep social commentary, and that's, for me, Ice Cube was definitely one of my favorites, and I think underrated for that matter.